two competing narratives. The followers of Jewish Messiah Yeshua and the followers of the rabbis who rejected this Messiah. Both see their roots and authority in the Hebrew scriptures. Discover Yeshua in the Rabbinic text. So, Oren, your final question was something about the Messiah being a light to the Gentiles, to the nations?
Exactly. My question is, if also in the rabbinic traditions, the Messiah needs to be a light to all the nations, to the Gentiles.
Great question. Actually, even before the rabbinic literature, the New Testament is clear that the Messiah, even though he came first to Israel, he also came to be a light to the Gentiles. And I want just to make it clear, so if you can read it in Romans 1:16. Romans 1:16, when Paul is saying that.
Yeah, so he says, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first and also to the Greek."
Yep. So the New Testament is clear that the Messiah came first to the Jewish people, to Israel, but also to the Gentiles. But I want to show you three main passages from the Old Testament, from the Hebrew Bible, and we'll see what the rabbis said about these messianic verses that are talking about the Messiah being a light to the Gentiles. We'll see how did the rabbinic commentators, what did they say about it? So if you can please begin with Genesis 49:10. Genesis 49:10, and there Jacob is gathering his children to bless them, and it says for the end of days, for what will happen in the end of days. So clearly there's going to be a messianic prophecy. So what does he tell Judah? What does Jacob tell Judah?
So he says here, "The scepter will not depart from Judah, for nor the rule staff from between his feet, until Shiloh comes, and to him shall be the obedience of the peoples."
Okay, so it gives us a time frame. The scepter, you said, the scepter will not be taken of Judah until comes Shiloh, and the Gentile, what did it say? The people, the nation, the Gentiles
Peoples, yeah.
will cling to him, or
Will be obedient
to him. So the question is, who is this figure that is called Shiloh? And I want you to tell us from the Talmud, what did the rabbi say about this name Shiloh from Genesis 49:10? The Talmud Tractate Sanhedrin 98b.
So Shiloh is referenced to the Messiah.
Exactly. They say Shiloh is one of the names of the Messiah. So they treat Genesis 49:10 as a messianic prophecy. And I want you to tell us, what does Rashi say about the word in Hebrew ikhat, which means that the nations will go after him or listen to him or obey to him? What does Rashi say?
Yeah, so he says here that all the Gentiles will be obedient to the Messiah, right? Exactly. Will be obedient to him.
So if we combine what the Talmud says, the Talmud says that Shiloh is the name of the Messiah, and Rashi is telling us all the Gentiles will follow this Shiloh, this Messiah.
Wow, so first of all, there are two things that we can learn from here. First thing, that Shiloh is the Messiah, right? According to the Talmud. And the second thing, according to Rashi, we see that this Shiloh, this Messiah, will be, the Gentiles will be obedient to him, right?
Exactly. So that was the first passage from Genesis 49. Now I want to take you to the second passage, and this time is a clear messianic prophecy from Isaiah 11:10. So if you can please read Isaiah 11:10, and we'll see what the sages said.
Yeah, so it says, "Then on that day the nation will resort to the root of Jesse, who will stand as a signal flag for the peoples, and his resting place will be glorious."
Yes, so it says in Hebrew, clearly it says the Gentile. In Hebrew it says the Gentile will go after this seed of Jesse, under this line of Jesse. And the question is, who is he? Who does Isaiah talk about? And I want you to tell us what one of the, foremost commentators, rabbinic commentators called Metzudat David, what did he say about Isaiah 11:10? How did he translate or comment about it? What did he
So
say?
it says specifically that the Messiah that comes from the root of Jesse will be that man that Isaiah talks about, and then all the Gentiles will go after him and will be obedient to him.
Yep. So not only that this rabbi, this commentator, is interpreting Isaiah 11:10 to be a messianic prophecy, he's saying yes, this prophecy is talking about the Gentiles going after the Messiah. He's going to be the light for the Gentiles, and he's not making anything out of his heart. This rabbinic commentator, because we can see it even in the old midrashim, and I want you to tell us. What did Midrash Bereshit Rabbah, Midrash Genesis Rabbah, this is the name of this rabbinic commentary, what did they say about Isaiah 11:10?
Yeah, so the same thing, they refer to this passage from Isaiah, and they say that all the Gentiles will go after him, after the Messiah.
Exactly. So even the ancient rabbinic Midrash is saying that not only that Isaiah 11:10 is talking about the Messiah, it clearly says that all the Gentiles would follow him.
So we see that also according to the rabbinic traditions, Isaiah 11 is referring to the Messiah, right? And that in this passage we see that all the Gentiles will go after the Messiah, after him.
Exactly. And now I want to take you to the third and final passage, this time from Daniel. Now it's Daniel 7:13 and 14, written in Aramaic, but you're going to read from English, right? So it's Daniel 7:13, 14. Let's see if that's a messianic prophecy according to the rabbis.
So I'm reading. I kept looking in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven, one like a son of man was coming. And he came up to the Ancient of Days, and was presented before him. And to him was given dominion, honor, and a kingdom, so that all the peoples, nations, and populations of all languages might serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which will not pass away. And his kingdom is one which will not be destroyed.
Now we know clearly that Yeshua quoted this verse from Daniel 7:13. Yeshua quoted this verse referring to himself. But I want to ask you, what about somebody like Rashi? You know, Rashi, the commentator, maybe the most famous rabbinic commentator, interpreter of all times. What does he say about this one, the one that looks like the Son of Man?
Yeah, so he takes exactly these words, one like a son of man, and he says, this is the King Messiah.
So Rashi is saying, exactly like Yeshua said, this is the Messianic prophecy. Rashi agrees. This talks about the Messiah, the one who comes in the clouds of heaven. Rashi is saying it's the Messiah. And what does Metzudat David, this other famous commentator, is saying? What does he say about this verse?
Yes, this commentator says that this, the one that looks like a son of man, is given a dominion and all the honor and the kingdom, and all the Gentiles will follow him.
So Rashi is saying this one who appears like a son of man is the Messiah. And the other commentator, rabbinic commentator, is saying him, the Messiah, to him all the Gentiles would give their worship. In other words, he will draw all the Gentiles to him and they will worship him.
Wow. So it seems that even according to the old rabbinic traditions, we see that Daniel was prophesying about the Messiah that needs to come in the heavens and the sky, and all the Gentiles will follow him and worship him and give him the honor that he's supposed to.
That he deserves, yes. Yes, and of course I told you these are just three examples. There's many examples from the Hebrew scriptures, from the Old Testament, like Isaiah 49 verses 3 to 6, or Psalm, I think it's Psalm 72 verse 17, but we don't have time to give all the example. But I think you see the point, right?
Yeah, so I just want to make it clear that the reason that all the Gentiles are following Jesus, that it shows that Jesus is the real Messiah that all the prophets were talking about.
Exactly, because as we saw in the Old Testament, there's clear messianic prophecies that says that the Gentiles would follow the Messiah. So if we see Gentiles believe in Yeshua, this only means that he's the true Messiah. And you know, when I talk to secular and religious people in Israel, I give them that challenge. I ask them, show me another candidate besides Yeshua. Show me another Jewish rabbi that through him, Gentiles all across the world are following the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Do you have another candidate besides Yeshua? And of course they say, no, there's no one. No rabbi besides Yeshua brought all the Gentiles to know the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I asked them, so why is it? Why Yeshua? If you don't believe he rose from the dead, why did the Gentile choose Yeshua and not a better Jewish man? Somebody else that didn't die. Unless Yeshua rose from the dead and he fulfilled all the prophecies that we saw from the Old Testament.
Wow. I think you're right. I don't think that there is any other candidate that can take this role.
Amen, amen. So I hope that this the series that we did gave people something to think about and chew on, and we keep praying that all Israel will finally be saved. Amen. Thank you, Oren.